Get your day started right. From our shack to yours, this is Coffee and Ham Radios. We are live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Howdy, everybody. Welcome back. This is Coffee and Ham Radio's Saturday morning edition. We're going to talk about portable and field operations. And I thought to myself, who better to talk about portable and field operations than Red Summit RF? And to be quite honest with you, I said, hey, Red, we're like, it's just Chuck and me, and we're out of stuff to talk about. What do you want to do, man? Just make something up. And Red to the rescue here. This is Charlie from Red Summit RF. Perhaps you've seen his YouTube channel. It should be linked in the description down below. But where are you if you don't know who Red is? Red, good morning. How are you, my friend?
Hey, good morning. Doing good today. I feel good. It's I got up early and shaved and everything, got ready for you guys.
Oh, you shaved?
And this is what we get?
Right.
Oh, I wouldn't say it that way. Sorry. I didn't mean it that way. Oh, man.
Yeah,
It's good to have you here, Charlie.
Yeah.
Charlie on his YouTube channel does a whole lot of Summits on the Air stuff. Charlie does a once a year, I think it is, if that's right. You do a hike all the way down into the Grand Canyon and all the way back up in one day. Is that right?
Yep, I do. I have. It's since the pandemic, I haven't been able to, but I'm looking forward to maybe doing it maybe this coming year. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, those wide open spaces are really bad for spreading viruses and things.
I know. What's the deal there?
Yeah. And then Charlie's been a guest on Ham Nuggets in the past, and so is Chuck. Chuck, you were going to say something. How are you this morning?
Oh, doing good. I was just going to say that was the problem we have with our YouTubers get together at Yosemite. We found one campground that was open, so in the area, everything else was closed, and ended up making it pretty good, though, to tell you the truth, because we get to do more things, I think.
Yeah. I really enjoyed that camp out a lot. It was fun.
I did too.
Yeah. One of the things I remember about that, Chuck, is that truck that military truck. Remember that?
Oh yeah, that thing was pretty hot. I can't believe nobody else went up there and interviewed that guy. And then he was gone.
Yeah. You should throw a video in on that again.
I got one in there. I got the one. But and then Charlie bought a brand new air mattress that lasted 30 minutes?
Yeah,
something like that. If that,
something like that. It was horrible. It was one of those with the built-in air compressor, whatever, air pump.
Yeah.
So all through the night, about every 2 hours.
That's what that noise was. I thought it was the bears.
Oh man,
that was horrible. Yeah,
I just give up on that one.
Brand new, man. I know. Well, I mean, I was out in the middle of nowhere. What could you do?
You put up a
I did
something
a hammock,
else to sleep in, a hammock. Yeah.
Yeah, I took.
He actually enjoyed that. I thought actually.
Yeah, it was better. Yeah. Backup plans, man. You got to have them.
That's right.
Always. One is none and two is one.
Exactly.
You know, I found out the air mattresses. It wasn't super cold there, but I got stuck I went to the Rubicon one time, and on Memorial Day weekend, which is the start of summer, right? But it snowed 6 inches, and I froze. So now I've got a self-inflating insulated pad that I sleep on, which is like 3 or 4 inches, and then sometimes I'll throw it on top of a little small air mattress to give a little more height.
Yeah,
I'm getting too old. I can't. It's hard crawling out of bed on the ground.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of air mattress, man. I don't know why I even did that because I know why, because I was flu, and so I had to have something compact. Otherwise, I would have.
Right.
My normal gear is like foam, up this thick.
There you go.
On a cot. So, but I couldn't fly with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, good morning, everybody in the chat. Looks like we've got a good crew today, huh?
It does.
Yeah,
We're up to almost 50 people right now. So I think Red's itching to give shout outs to everybody. What do you think, Chuck?
I think
what
so.
do you mean? You mean like Sean? No, I don't. I can't do that.
Well,
you had your coffee this morning, right?
Oh no, I don't.
And you shaved.
I shaved, so.
We'll make it harder on. They'll have to put 3 letters in, like red, for Red Summit.
Yeah.
I don't know. That may take them longer to write that. Not a 1, Jim. You got it wrong. Gosh, Jim, come on, you got to listen up. Now I got it. You got to go, Red?
You're waiting for me to give everybody a.
Oh yeah,
they're all calling your name, man.
Okay, hey, Richard, Richard and Andy and Gary and Sean and Rod and I don't know who the gaming ham is, but
Gordon.
Do you? Gordon. Okay, Gordon. Hey, Gordon. Bill, Lionel, Adam, and AC7ZXY. I know that guy somewhere, don't I? Ham Radio and Coffee and Ham Radios is there, and Roger and Sean again, and Les and GP and Mike and Skeeter and Susan. How's that?
That's
Pretty
fantastic.
good. I think you missed Gary. Taz is there. Chris is here. And Adam. How many times has Adam been in there? You got him twice already. Good job, Red.
Hey,
you know,
I mean, I need a little practice. Nobody can do it like Sean, right? Or like, Sean, right?
Well, you're welcome to come back and practice some more.
Yeah, just keep practicing.
Hey, I admit it. It was a fail.
The one that went by real quick is Ham Radio QRP. Kevin. Kevin has a YouTube channel, and if you haven't seen Kevin's YouTube channel, you're really missing out. Kevin likes to go around and play Will It antenna on his farm, and he's lit up some amazing things. The grain chute on the silo, the tractor. He's lit up this big old bell that used to be the town's bell. Kevin's got a fantastic channel.
I forget, what's he using for the tune-up stuff?
He used to have an MFJ manual tuner and a Zygu G90. I don't know what he's running now. He does change things up. He was also doing a ice fishing sled that he was dragging out, and that was pretty cool. Setting up a little tent, getting the heater going. So he's got a lot of fun on his channel. Let me see if I can get a link for you guys while Chuck carries the show for me.
Real quick, the G90, does it have a tuner that's like a 10-to-1, or is it just a 3-to-1?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does.
Amazing.
It's got a really good tuner. It's like a Elecraft tuner, kind of.
Nice.
Yep. You just took your. Did you have a 6100? I saw the video. I haven't watched it yet.
Loaner,
but I saw,
yeah.
It's a loaner. Okay.
Yeah, from Radiodity, and I'm supposed to send it back. They asked me to send it back this weekend, but I told them no. I'm going to keep it another week.
Well,
possession is 9/10 of the law, right?
They probably got it there late anyhow, so you know how that goes.
Yeah.
I did that video on the solar panel, and by the time I got everything straightened out and got it, and the day I posted it, the sale went off, of course, which was a good deal.
The sale for what? The
solar panel was like a 50-watt solar panel for $29.99 or something like that, and it immediately went up the day I dropped it.
Oh, jeez.
And then they ran out of the U.S. ones because they'll have it in the U.S. It's from Banggood. And in the U.S. they'll have some, and it was like $2 shipping, so it's like $31 or something like that. And then it jumped to $33 plus $16. It was the shipping because it was only available from China. So at the $29, it was a heck of a deal because you figure $1 a watt, and it was pretty much under that. It was like $31 for 50 watts. So that was pretty good. We have a really
cool place here in Arizona, here in the Valley, in the Phoenix metro area. It's called Santan Solar. And they have sales every once in a while where you can get really good deals on panels. But even on a normal, just a regular day, you can get used panels for pretty good price. I paid $65 for one of mine and $50 for another, and they're 150 watt panels.
What do you use those for?
On my roof.
On your roof, okay. Yeah, I've seen that that Will Pross has a lot of deals on that stuff, and there's a couple other guys there's some guy that bought a lot of, like 50 of them or something like that for his house, and they were like, they're dirt cheap used, and they're supposedly still going to get you another, 20 years or something, right?
Yeah.
At least. I've got one on my motorhome that's been on there for 10 or 15 years, still works just fine.
Yeah, so when those things hit their, I don't know, let's say the panel's rated a 25-year lifespan, and when you buy the panel, it's going to be within like 5% of its rating. So if it's a 60-watt panel, you're going to get like maybe 62, maybe 58 watts or whatever the math works out to. When you hit that 25-year mark, it doesn't go like completely dark and dead, right? It only loses like another 3 or 5% or something.
Yeah, it
just right?
goes down percentage-wise, I think. I don't know everything about it. I'm just kind of delving into the whole thing.
Yeah, I'm kind of new to it.
I tried to. I have the little controller I was using it'll tell you the watts, but I didn't use it because I think it was wrong because I blew it up the first time I used it. It was supposedly good for 60 watts, and the guy goes, "Oh, what are you using?" He fixed it.
60-watt panel.
You know what? Yeah, I did. I had a 60-watt panel that was putting out pretty much what it should have put out. I mean, within 1% or 2%. And I think how he fixed it is he is he lowered what it saw for voltage, because I was checking out a multimeter. It was like 3 or 4 volts difference. So I think that's how he made it work.
Huh.
So I didn't believe anything on it after that as far as the amperage. It did get up to almost 1.7 amps, I think, 1.8, something like that, which for 50 watt was pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a video. I haven't got it done yet, but of kind of all the stuff that I did for my solar. Got it all. I'm hooked up to my ham radios and can power a fridge and a few other things. It's
Oh, nice.
it's a pretty cool setup for not a bad price.
Yeah. They're talking about my lighting again in the chat today, but it's a gloomy, overcast day. It snowed again last night here. I'm getting sick of this.
It did.
Man.
Yeah, my lighting's
So-
not the greatest right now either, but whatever.
Yeah. So we're kind of talking
my
about
overhead
solar
keeps
panels.
going out.
We're kind of talking about solar panels right here, which is definitely a tie-in to today's topic of field and portable operations.
is.
When you guys go out for, let's say, let's put a definition on the table to make the show a little bit easier. Let's say that field and portable operations would be a 1 day, 8-hour type of activation, as opposed to like a quick radar or something like that, where you're just out for like 5 or 10 contacts. So to kind of put it like a 5 or 10 contact rollout is a lot different than an 8-hour rollout. So what kind of power systems would you take on an 8-hour rollout?
Well, I have here behind me a 40 amp hour battery.
Yeah,
It's a lithium.
let's specify what radio is going to take, and then go by
Well,
that.
I mean, I was assuming 100 watts if we're going to be out
Okay,
that
100
long.
watts. There you go.
For 8 hours, yeah. Want to have some fun.
So, I mean, field day would be a little longer, right? And I would do solar for field day, but anything less, if it's just a regular, just a 1 day thing, I really don't think solar panels is something I'd really consider.
No,
I have, like I said, I
I'm
have a 40 amp hour battery here that'll get me the 8 hours easily on 100 watts.
Yeah, I'm the same way. In fact, I'll for 6 to 8 hours, I'll take I've got a 9 amp hour battery that usually will last pretty much all that amount of time, unless I really get if I was doing a really good soda where I got to pile up, it might not. But I also, like you, I have a 30 amp hour, so that
Yeah.
I've never. I mean, I have multiple days on that thing.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, and I mean, and that's my whole philosophy about solar is if you need something to recharge after a specific 1 day outing, then you'd take it like field day. But otherwise, there's really, in my mind, no real need to mess with solar.
Now,
People may disagree, but
when we were going to do our backpacking trip, I was planning on taking some solar for that, just because we had no. And tell you the truth, this 50 watter to me is better than the fold up ones because it's lighter and it'll slide right down, even at 50 watts. It'll slide right down my backpack, and I can put it right against my back and stuff everything else in there.
Beautiful.
And it's like, oh shoot, I say a fourth the weight of my fold up 60 watter.
yeah. So what if you did that? What would you take as far as battery, and how long do you think it'd take to recharge it?
Well, you have to take a battery like a solar controller, right? Because I wouldn't just because it did get up in the 20s on voltage. So I have that, but I had the little printed one. I don't have it here handy, but it weighs nothing.
That thing's almost palm sized, right?
Yeah, it's like the size of your palm, and it's all printed and everything, so it's super light. That would, I think, if you hooked it up, and I like to hook my radio to the battery and then charge the battery from the solar panel, right? I know Tio's got that buddy pole one that you can hook your radio to it, but I don't trust that personally. I think you should go up to the battery and then charge the battery. So if I was charging the battery as I was using it, shoot, it would probably charge pretty good, because it would. If I let it get low, it's going to take a long time to charge it.
Yeah.
Right. But if I charged it as I'm going, it probably would keep up fairly
It's
good.
kind
I
of what
would
you'd have
think.
to do, don't you think? Because if
Yeah.
you're using it during the day anyway, because there's no
Right.
solar at night, right? So
Right.
I'll have to test that out, Chuck. I don't know that the Buddy Pole Power Mini will even come on if you don't have a battery plugged into it. I think it needs
Really?
that battery there.
That's-
Yeah.
But you were taking your radio through its port, right?
It's got 4 power pole ports on it and a USB port. So you plug the solar panel into one as an input, you plug the battery into the other, and then it's basically got its own power distribution block built in. And from that power distribution block, I have it plugged into another larger power distribution block. So Jim's saying that, it won't come on unless you plug a battery into it. So technically you're feeding off of the battery your radio, and then the charge controller is charging the battery off of the solar panel.
Okay, so you are hooking it up the same way I am then, basically.
Yeah. That's the conventional approach.
Yeah. I just don't trust the ones say that. In fact, a good reputable company will tell you if you're going to draw a lot of amperage or something, not to pull off of the actual controller. I'll tell you what, I checked mine just briefly with the 705 ahead as I was finishing up with my video. I just checked it through all the bands. I only saw noise on 17, and it was so slight that it wouldn't have made any difference. No. So it is, and that guy, the guy that makes that is a ham, and he makes it for ham radio. He tries to keep it as clean. He also sells a toroid. I think I do have that here.
Nice, a toroid.
It's buried over there, but it I don't use it. It's just another thing to hook up. So
yeah, got to keep it light. If you're driving someplace, it's a little easier to take extra gear and go a little bit more complicated. But in this scenario you're talking about, it's backpacking. So
yeah, for backpacking, and then I usually carry a battery supply or like a phone charger that has its own little solar panel. And I know Jason told me from Ham Radio 2.0 that same thing. Don't let that get down. Charge it as you're using it, because it takes forever to catch up. But the solar panel also has. I actually showed charging my phone off of it, and a little Baofeng that had that you could charge directly. So I mean, it does for keeping your phone up and stuff. But for, like you said, for most day things, I never take any solar with me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Don's asking, what voltage do panels pump out? And I have a 12-volt panel here. I've never measured it bare. I've only ever measured it plugged into the charge controller. And then I have another 12-volt panel that I've measured bare, and it will put out 19 volts with no load. But I bet that once you put a load on it, it's going to drop down to 12 volts area, because it's a 12-volt rated panel. But you buy them, and when you buy them, they have the rating on them: 12 volts, 24 volts, 48 volts, those kind of things.
Yep.
Don't you? What brand do you have? I think you have the same one I have, but you bought the 100-watt.
I have a Renogy 100-watt, and I have a Raddy 120-watt.
Okay. Well, the Raddy, I think, looks very close to the one I had. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fold-up panel.
I was getting like 21 watts.
Yours is 50?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have mine's even less efficient. I have two on the roof. It's the same concept, whether it's the way you're talking or just here at home. I have 250 watt panels on the roof to charge 400 amp hour batteries here behind me, and I get 65 volts that it uses to charge.
So you're running for higher voltage then, the way you hooked them up. Yeah. Yeah, I think it was almost in the 20s. Maybe it was only 17 or 18, but it was well over the 12 volts. I mean, I wouldn't hook it directly into my battery, for sure.
Yeah, and it fluctuates too, so that's a reason why you wouldn't.
And I was also optimizing it, like you said, on the roof. This time of year is not great flat on the roof unless it's angled.
It's flat.
Oh, you're flat. Yeah, yes. So not until summertime you'll get more power then.
Yep.
What else? I know you do a ton of off-grid type activations and stuff like that. So
different stuff. Yeah. I mean, like field day would be like the longest, and we just kind of talked a little bit about that. We do solar for field day, and we have the AGM batteries and stuff like that to power 3-4 batteries over 3 days. It isn't over 3 days. It is sort of anyway, isn't it? The field day itself is only 24 hours, right? But you're running before and after anyway most of the time. Then like for just a day trip or even just an overnight camp out, if I'm running 100 watts, like I said, I'll just take a bigger battery. And then for POTA, it's kind of the same thing. I usually use the same one and just don't charge it for 5 or 6 trips. And then as you get going into more like what you were talking about earlier, Chuck, the backpacking or the more remote stuff, then you want to lose the weight a little bit and become reduce the weight and be a little less complicated in what you're doing.
All right.
So I have all the way down to my mountain topper radio has a little battery that's kind of like about that size. It's just a half a amp hour battery, but I'm only running 5 watts, so it lasts good 2-3 activations, probably a couple hours.
So is that like a little RC battery?
It is, yeah. A little one, yeah.
A pillow, a LifePo pillow, or
Yeah.
lithium ion. What do they call those things?
Yeah,
I don't know. I've got a bunch of those things.
Yeah, so that's the power, and that's really pretty much it. If you're lucky, you can go someplace and you can plug right into the grid, and then you can just take a power supply. And there's some places that I've done that as well.
Have you? I've watched
like
Good
that.
Game do that, but I've never been to a park that you could do that. But I don't. When I go to like a POTA thing, it's usually the forest, not really a park.
Yeah.
When Carlos and I did Chain of Lakes Park in Indiana, there was power at the pavilion, and so we were able to plug everything in. And then when Dude and I did Chain of Lakes in Illinois, there was no power. So it just depends on where you're at for the day. So I bring flexible options.
Yeah, you really do need to be flexible. And then just maybe to reverse the definition that you were asking about earlier, TO, let's just define it as 100 watts for 6 hours or whatever. You could reverse that and say, and we could talk a little bit about, let's say I don't have 100 watts and I have a 5-watt radio. How well would I do on a summit versus how would I do, in the bottom of the Grand Canyon or in a park with a lot of trees, or and what's the difference? Because there's some considerations there as well, right? Because like, for example, I don't like operating 5 watts when I do Parks on the Air activations, because I know Thomas does, K4SWL.
Well,
but he gets good. He has a fair amount of contacts, and it
the
is
difference
possible.
between you two guys and me doing 5 watts on a POTA is you're going to use CW, and that will help you.
That is another consideration. You're right.
Yes.
Yep. Right. So
when you said Thomas, that like clicked. Oh yeah, CW. But
right, because you do have to consider that when you're going portable, where you're going to be, and that may kind of drive the equipment that you're going to use.
Right.
And
I tell you what, when I go on a camp trip, it's like you wouldn't believe. I take my 991. I might have the 705. I might even take like the last camp trip. I took my 857. It's like
nice.
It's like, oh man, where am I gonna? I'm just like box after box in my trailer that I take.
But it's easy though.
Like,
if you're just camping and you're not lugging a bunch of gear everywhere, you can take whatever you want, really.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I have probably a 40-pound bag of antennas. I won't, that goes in the truck when I'm doing POTA only. Right.
Yeah, same thing. I need to get mine more organized. I'm still looking. I've got the DX Commander, the smaller 10-meter pole that he sells, and I cannot find it. And I know I hope I didn't leave it the last camp trip I went on, because I kind of thinking that's what I used there, and that's the last time I've seen it. So it's probably in my trailer. I haven't that I know of.
Not on purpose.
Not on purpose.
Oh, yeah, of course, not on purpose.
I don't think I did. I don't think that's one I used, but yeah, I just can't find, because I was doing the video that I was doing yesterday is tied into multiple masts that are basically the same mast. Because if you look at that mast, the soda beams and the pack antenna, they're all exactly kind of the same.
Yeah.
So, the same size and everything.
So Adam's asking, can you take a UV5R with a battery eliminator with a lighter plug and connect it to a 12-volt battery so you can operate longer? Yes.
I think
Yes,
so,
you can.
yeah.
They do make automotive auxiliary plugs, cigarette lighter plugs, and that are able to be put into your battery box with a panel mount. So you could even just go straight into that and make a nice looking battery box. I have made a battery box. Chuck's made a battery box. I'm sure Red has something in that vein, right, Chuck? Charles,
Yep.
Sorry.
Yeah. Yep.
We've got Charlie and Charles and
Mike and Steve. Actually, I've made 2, and I'm on my 3rd one. My 3rd one is for my it's like a solar generator is what I'm kind of coming up with for my. I don't know if Red saw the little fridge I took with me to Yosemite.
Yeah, that was cool.
That thing ran from Thursday to Sunday on 236 amp hour batteries.
Nice.
The cheap Miatis, which are no good.
They're not?
Is that sarcasm no good, or is that legitimately no good?
That was sarcasm, no good.
That
And
was sarcasm.
if you remember the one hill where I left my my little camera and you guys found it for me,
Yes.
I had like an hour of solar time. It was the only time because remember where we camped, there was that's the problem with solar. We were camped in a really nice wooded area. I wouldn't have got much power there, so I didn't even bother.
Yep. Yeah, I'm not really a fan of solar on portable too much. I mean, there's a place for it, but it's limited.
Yeah. I think if I tell you what, this 50 water, if I do a backpack trip, it may go because it is. They also sell a 30, which would be even smaller. But I've got 55 liter backpack, and that's not huge. That's kind of that.
That's pretty standard these days.
Yeah, pretty standard, medium size, and it fits right in there. It goes right in. I can still roll the top down. I don't think personally measuring it up to the 60 watt. I don't think it's really got enough solar panels to be a true 50 watter.
Yeah.
It looks a little small. So why don't we get into? Why don't you tell what radios you do take for SOTA?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I know
if
you
it's-
got a bunch.
Yeah, I do. I mean, not a whole bunch, but I have a few. So for Summits on the Air, it helps to know CW, of course, like you mentioned before. And for my longest journeys, if I'm doing multiple days or I'm in a very remote area that's going to take a lot of energy, I want to be as light as possible. So I'll usually take the MTR3B, which is the size of a deck of cards, and it's 5 water and has 3 bands. It's about that size, yep. And that's a good one. I have an antenna that kind of is pretty. It's just one of Adam's, or it's not one of Adam's. It's one similar to his. It's a link dipole, and the whole weight altogether on that's a little under 3 pounds. So the whole system, including the battery, it's like everything, the key and everything. Not water, but everything else, including the pack, is about a little under 3 pounds. Which is pretty good.
Not to really try to interrupt you, but how many keys do you have now?
Oh, I don't know, probably 20 or so. I'm just
Because I know you
addict.
It's like there's another video on you've done a bunch of videos. I don't know if all those were yours or just loners or what, but
no, they're all. I bought them all, much to my wife's chagrin. She keeps telling me I should sell some, but I really like collecting them.
You gotta have more channel supporters, more people looking out for you, helping you bring out more reviews.
I know.
Right. Yeah. So I do that, and then like some of the more less difficult ones, I'll take the FT817, and that's probably the one I take the most. It's a heavy radio. I didn't realize it was until I reviewed the X6100 and tried out a few others, and it's. Is
the 6100 lighter?
Yep, it is.
Oh, because the 705 and the 817 are the same weight. So
yeah, so
and to me, the 817 is actually a little easier to throw in a backpack.
It is. The form factor is better, but it is heavier, and it's like 3 times the size the weight, I think, of a KX2. So.
Oh yeah, my whole KX2 kit, if I throw something in the tree, is 2 pounds.
Yeah. And so then my antenna, people were like shocked to see my antenna that I have used for the last 7 years for Summits on the Air, because it's like. I don't know. It's like 16 gauge wire or something. it's pretty heavy wire.
Oh, really? Wow.
Like this big wad of
wow.
But
they don't break. Though.
It doesn't break. It doesn't tangle. It's very easy to use, and so I'm really happy with it. And it's on top of that, you do get a little bit better bandwidth coverage.
Yeah, you do.
So. I like to go up into the sideband area a little bit, and it's the SWR is a little better up there with the higher gauge wire. So
have you tried the silicone wire that we're putting with our antenna?
No, I don't know.
You have to try some of that stuff because it's the easiest wire you've ever used. I mean, even Mike now says he likes it, which he was I like this. That what was the other one? The Poly Stealth.
Yeah, I have poly
I,
still.
I don't like how it winds up though. When you get it out, you can see every bend in it. I mean, this
Yeah.
other stuff just like it almost flies off of your winder
Like butter,
sometimes.
huh?
Yeah.
Yep. And then
Oh,
Propoda. Oh, go ahead.
oh no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and then Propoda, I take my base station, my 897, because it's the only 100-watt radio I own. I guess that's the thing, you use what you got, right?
Exactly.
Oh yeah, that's. I tell you, I've got I've got the 857 and the 991 for 100 watts, and since I got the 991, that's if I'm just going to a POTA or someplace that I don't have to carry it. That's what I take. I've taken the 857 on a couple mile hike sometimes, but not very often. Usually Javi and I do it, and one of us carries the battery, the other guy carries the radio, so
Yeah.
split it up a little bit.
Some of the
Backpacking
viewers
tricks.
probably know Keith KR7RK. And his call sign's a little similar to Adam's, but he purposely takes more gear sometimes just to get the exercise, and he likes to take an amplifier and run 100 watts or maybe even 50 on top of a summit sometimes, or oftentimes really. It's primarily because he likes to get 10 meters. Even in the bottom of the sun cycle, he'd try to get at least four contacts and qualify the summit just on 10 meters.
Nice.
So
Wow.
need a little
I'm kind of excited because the bands are getting so much better. The other day, Chris, Digital Analog Ham, he gives me a ping and says, "Hey, let's get on 15 and see if you can hear me." And I couldn't hear him; he was in his vehicle. But I end up I got two stations in near London, and then one guy in Italy. But
Nice.
but I was running power and a Yagi, so. But
Yeah.
I thought I might.
Go ahead.
I'm excited because I'm going to set up some stuff for, I got a video coming out here pretty soon that shows how easy it is to do 20 through 6
with
not much.
yeah, cool.
With not much.
Yeah, I'm
I mean,
excited about the bands too, man. Which ones have you? Are you showing them all? Just making contacts on all of them? Then with
What's
your
that?
video? With your video?
No, actually, I'm not going to make it. It's just basically it's a 17-foot MFJ or Chameleon stainless steel. And I can set the thing up in
That'll be a good video.
I think it was 1 minute and 5 seconds, something like that.
There you go.
Well, no, actually, I'm asked, but that thing will do. I actually tested it yesterday, and it'll do 2 through 20. 2's not very good. In fact, this little rubber whip thing I bought for my 705 and another little project actually will do better than that. And I probably wouldn't use it for 6 because if I was going to get serious with 6, I'd take a Yagi or something.
Yeah.
But for everything else, it works pretty good.
I'm glad you brought up the 6 meter thing. There's a friend of mine. He's actually the association manager for Summits on the Air here in Arizona, and he's been focusing on primarily operating 6 meter for the last 40 or so years. It was maybe even 50 years, he said. He has worked all states and worked all countries. I mean, all these different things that he's done just with 6 meters. Mm-hmm. Very experienced. He's going to be on my show, my next live stream, and talk all about 6 meters, how to do it, what the propagation's like, some of his research he's done, and just some of his experiences. Should be pretty good.
Yeah, if we can get Gary W9FMB to get a camera, he's very good at the electrical grounding part, and he's big time. He's in a 6 meter club. The guys he hangs out with. One of the guys kind of frowned on my thing, and the guy that's kind of in charge goes, "Hey, he doesn't do it like we do it. He's just having fun with it, because I didn't run the really heavy coax and stuff." And I'm like, I'm not going to do that
For 6 meters. Yeah,
it's
I know.
too far away.
I had the same experience. I tried to talk to a couple of these guys on my dipole, just tune up my dipole on 6 meters.
Right.
And they were like, afterwards they asked what I was using, and dude, you need a 10 element Yagi. And
I built a 5 element because Gary got me into this, and he has it. He talks almost every day, probably every day, into Texas. There's a big Howard in Tennessee. I've talked to him twice when we've had openings. So that's my longest contact. And I think I got into Mexico one time.
Nice.
But 5 element LFA, which is a It looks like it has a Moxon built into it. There, I got the Moxon in. Looks like it has a
There we go.
Moxon bit for the driven.
Huh.
So it's close. It's supposed to be super quiet. Probably not as much gain as some of the regular Yagis, but close.
Well, back to you were saying you're excited about the band conditions. Just yesterday here, I got again given I was on a summit, so my antenna was 2,000 feet up in the air, plus a couple extra feet of wire. The mountain and then the wire, right? So I got the SM4BNZ on 5 watts. That was pretty good, and it was on a compromised antenna too. So yeah.
And where's that? Where's he?
SMB, SBM4. I think that's it's Europe somewhere. I think it's Slovenia or something. I'm not sure exactly.
That's good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And of course, you always there's Chris. You know Chris, Foxtrot 4 Whiskey Bravo November. You've heard of him, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Christian. Yeah, he's like always there, from France.
Now, was that CW or phone?
Yeah, CW. Phone is, it's just another world for me these days. Phone, and it's like your world most of it is, isn't it, right now?
Right.
Yeah,
I've got into France and stuff with Vertical and the Moxon on outings. I've got a really good. It's a soda and a POTA type place that you can drive up to. And there's a guy in France. I forget his call sign, but he's when you're doing soda, he'll get you if you're out there, you know. And we got him on, I think 10 watts with the Moxon that one time, so that was
nice.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, I wish I could get.
It's like you 6,000 feet, you know.
Yeah, plus a few extra feet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I do when my wife goes with me. Go ahead.
I was going to say, does that actually work? Because, and I'm not doubting it. I'm just kind of trying to get the information out there. If I'm at my QTH at my house and I put an antenna up, I'm supposed to be a half wave off of the actual ground, not the dirt, but the electrical ground, the reference ground. And when you're up on the summit, you're walking up the reference ground. It's going up with you, right? It's not
Right.
it's not at the base of the mountain. It's right up there, still below you. So how does that work out?
Well, I mean, you don't have as much obstruction, and it actually it's just it's more open. I believe that's it. I mean, I don't know the science behind it. I just know it works better.
What I've seen, I think, especially with like I did this 2-meter bozo net thing, and it's about 200 miles to the guy that does it. Now he owns N squared antennas, and so he's got really good antennas at his place, plus amps and stuff. But I've done that 50 watts from where I go to the drag races at, and I think that the height does mean, especially with a Yagi. I was on the edge of a hill that dropped off probably 30 or 40 feet, and I only had the thing up 6-8 feet. So I think it thought it was 50 or 60 feet, right? Because it was off the edge there. But I've been told that altitude doesn't really make a difference, but I don't know, man. Because
It probably doesn't. Well,
it seems like when you're out on I think soda and POTA makes a difference when you're calling.
it's obvious to me that it does. I don't know the science behind it, but it's obvious that I work many more stations, everything being equal, on a summit than I do down in on a flat land. And I don't know whether it's the takeoff angle is better and there's no obstructions or what it is exactly, but it is my experience is it is better.
And that's actually one of your test questions. I'm not sure if it's on the general or on the extra, but if you place your horizontal antenna on the slope of a mountain, you get this takeoff angle effect because you're technically, not horizontal with the ground. You're not parallel to the ground anymore.
Yeah. And this guy I mentioned, Pete, he taught me a while ago that if you so like if the hill's like this and you want to work this direction to Europe or whatever, then you would go just slightly down off the hill on this side, and it also gets some reflection or whatever off that side of the hill. It bounces it towards Europe more. So it's just kind of it's not a lot, but it's a little extra oomph. So just a little teeny some strategies to get better.
And you're using you're like an in-fed half wave or something like that for that?
Link just a dipole, yeah.
Just a dipole, okay.
Yeah, a wired dipole. Yeah.
Sometimes a sloper kind of, I think, sometimes aims certain directions more than the other direction, right?
Well, and a dipole, yeah, it would be
Kind of the same thing, yeah.
It's broadside, so you point the broadside, and then you're down off the hill a little bit, and it all helps. So Smoke's right about that. Smokey is there's lower noise for sure.
Oh yeah.
So you're able to pull signals out better because there's less interference in your head.
Sorry, I'm writing down. Fred's giving me all kinds of notes here. I guess Fred lives near me someplace. He knew exactly where I was talking about. Big Hill. Now, Big Hill is just awesome, man. Every time I go up there, it's my buddy Javi went the first time. He goes, "Oh my God, I can't believe the pileup you got," And it's just on a vertical, on a stake, with a couple radios out. 100 watts though.
Yeah. Well, I really like when my wife comes with me because it gives me a chance to do a little sideband. Because when she comes with me, we do sideband, and that's good. She's learning CW.
Is she the only one that knows how to do sideband, or what?
What's that?
Is she the only one that knows how to do sideband in the family, or what?
What?
I only do it when my wife comes because she helps me. I mean, I was joking.
No, that's funny. No,
I've seen you do it. I've seen you do it, so I know.
When she goes, we just kind of we decide
different mode. Yeah,
So,
she seems to have fun with it.
she does. Yeah.
Now, you guys, I got something I should have you check out sometime. But you guys have a pretty good 2 meter, and I guess you guys do 220 and everything off the things, and it's almost like you guys know that somebody's going to go out. Do you guys announce that hey, I'm going on a POTA today or SOTA today? Because you guys have 2 meters and all that stuff. I know you guys kill it with that.
We have a good community that hangs out on a specific frequency, and it's just like everybody's kind of always monitoring, and guys will just say, hey, somebody's on, they'll, anywhere in the United States really. If they think that you can work if they think that you can work that station, they'll announce at QST, Chuck's on whatever summit, and then so we all go there and stuff. So there's that, yeah, and so all these people do like to. Well, there's the event that's different too, where in the summer, early in the mornings, once a week, we do this thing where it's announced and stuff like that. We get a lot more participation, but there's a group of guys that do hang out on 2 meters and just kind of work radio pretty much all day. Yeah.
Yeah. What did Abe say? I missed it. Yeah,
He's supposed to be on vacation. What the heck's he doing?
Well, he vacations and then chats with us and stuff like that.
Okay.
This is the most fun you can have on vacation.
Yeah.
Heckling your co-hosts.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, let's see. Let me show you this. I was going to tell you, Chuck.
Oh, what do you got there?
Oh, nice. Let's get you up on solo for that.
Yeah, look at that.
It's got a hole in it, though.
Well, what you mean this?
No, I think it's your green screen. You don't have a screen. Oh no, that's a Band-Aid or something on. No, a piece of tape.
Oh,
I got you.
You're talking about this right here?
Yeah, it looked like it was a hole in it. Yeah, I see it now.
That's
a
trap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I finally recognized what it was.
Yeah.
So how did that winder work out? Does it work?
Well, obviously, it's awesome. Your timing could not have been any better.
Really?
Because somebody gave me that antenna, and it was wrapped around a box. So it was just. I wonder if I have that still. If I have that.
And for the folks that couldn't see the whole thing, here's a better picture of it.
Oh, missed you there.
Yeah.
There you go. So Lionel's saying that's a mighty fine looking car antenna you got there, and this is actually just a winder. This is not what you'll get in the car antenna thing. So speaking of car antenna, I got a bag of supplies in the other day, so we're getting closer and closer to getting this thing out the door. Let me open this up.
We're still waiting on your nuts. I mean nuts, right?
Yeah, I don't have enough nuts to make this happen right now. So
that was a post in Toads. Oh, look at that.
This is pretty sweet. These are not 3D printed. This is multi-jet fusion, and it's a nylon material instead of any type of PLA or ABS or anything. So it's a lot stronger than your typical 3D prints would be.
I tell you, those winders though, that seems pretty strong, don't you think?
I
Charlie?
love this one. This one's I am so glad you sent this because, first of all, like I said, a friend of mine made me this antenna. It was just wrapped around a piece of cereal box cardboard,
I've done that before.
Wheaties.
Yeah, it was frosted mini wheats. Yeah, his name is
Oh,
Malin
okay.
from Canada. Anyway, this came in the mail just as he was giving me this, so I of course transferred it right over. But yes, it's
Perfect
very.
timing.
It was perfect timing. This is really a nice one. I have some others. They're a little bit
Mhm.
less, a little bit more flimsy, but I really like the solid construction of this. It's awesome.
Yeah,
People
and
will love that. When you,
the infill in that is not very much. I learned that the infill is not the strength, so I was told.
yeah.
I can't give
people
up my
when you start giving these out, people are going to love them because I certainly do.
yeah. There's 3 out there, but we gave one away as a prize.
Yep.
Because To likes to give away stuff that I print up.
Especially when I'm not the one that's financially responsible for it. I love giving it away.
There you go.
The problem with them is, man, to ship anything. In fact, yours
kidding,
got double.
$10.
Yours got double shipped. I messed up on yours.
So $10 plus an additional amount.
The little bag inside too.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
paid for that by mistake, and I forgot. I wanted to make sure yours was 2-day, which didn't really matter because it would have got there anyhow, and it would have been cheaper. Because I sent another one out, and she goes, "Oh, it's going to be there Friday too." I'm like, dang it, that's all right. Because I think the winders are $5 or $6 by themselves.
Without
Maybe
shipping?
7. No, with the shipping. That's the shipping. That's the problem selling them. It costs as much to ship them as it does with a winder.
No kidding. That's a lot. Dang it, Chuck. I'm not
Unless we can find something better. I got something else that I want you to use. Maybe I'll make an extra one when I meet you next time.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, I'm getting a lot of stuff I've got to get on air, man.
That video's not out yet, but it's pretty cool. I played with it the other day. It's
Cool.
pretty cool. Hey, thank you, Lionel, for the $10. Friday is
Lionel.
payday.
Awesome. That'll help cover some of that shipping to Red.
No kidding.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be nice if you could ship stuff for a couple $bucks, wouldn't it?
Well, at least we're not.
If it wasn't big. Yeah, well, yeah. Well,
Malin was telling
funny you say that because the winner was in Canada. I don't know if it's here
boy.
today. And that was quite a bit. It was, I think, to ship to Canada was as much as the other 2 I shipped.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, if you're in Canada and you're ordering something from the United States, Malin ordered a manual, just a thin manual, and it cost him $20 for the manual, and then it cost him $70 for the border duties and whatever to get it there.
Yeah, that's my wife goes, "Oh, you're sending one to Canada?" She goes, "You have to fill out a paper for that." And I'm like, I tried to do that in the 8 voice, the 8 way I sent it, but yeah, I had to put a value. Oh, David was the one
England,
that
thank
got
you.
one also. Thank you very much. Yeah, so I put down what it costs. I think $1, so they didn't have to pay too much tax on it. That's pretty close to it. I mean, depending on what your time and electricity costs, you know.
What did it cost? Priceless.
It's priceless. I thought that came out pretty nice. You know, we enlisted we've got him on retainer now, and that would be Thump.
Yep.
Actually designed that. I want to make sure he gets the credit for that because credit goes where it's due, and he
does an
I'll
awesome
tell you
job.
what, yes, he does. He knows how to give it that little flair, you know.
Yeah.
David, did you get yours, and how do you like it? How's that? So let's see. What else can we ask Red? Tell us what you take on your just a quick thing of what you take on your Grand Canyon trip. I've seen it. I know what you take, but what radio equipment and just a quick rundown on the gear that you have to do an overnighter.
Okay. Well, you're talking about like an overnight backpacking trip.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so it'll be something like this. As far as the antenna goes, it'd be something like this here, much lighter. You know,
Mhm.
This is the antenna, and this actually isn't the one. This is a random wire. This one here is the one actually has a. This is a end-fed half wave with some traps. You can see the traps right there.
Mhm.
Nice.
I haven't done one of those yet. That's going to be one of my next antennas I build.
Yeah, so this is really compact and light. and then I'll take the MTR3B, which again is sitting over there, but it's about this size, and then a battery that's about like that size, and keep the paddle, and that's pretty much it. I'll have to take I take my cell phone, of course, so I can spot myself, and I take a GPS unit that has the ability to spot myself if there's no cell service. It does the Iridium satellite.
Could you explain that, because I have not done that, but I know Javi does it for us a lot of times. But can you explain how you spot yourself that way?
Yeah, with the GPS, or just generally the spotting.
GPS. The phone's easy. I mean, I know how to do that.
Well, so there's a service that's provided by a guy in the soda arena. His name escapes me right now. He's from his call sign's Mike something. Let me see if I can look it up real quick. But while I'm talking, but he has a service where he accepts SMS texting, and I won't look it up. It's fine. Anyway, so he has a server. So actually, on my cell phone, most of the time I'll get to the GPS.
Marvin, thank you.
But let me just show you here.
Yeah, thank you, Marvin.
I have when I spot myself, I just send a text, and that's what I send in the text. It goes to a specific number, and it's and that text is formatted like that. So if I want to, like that one there that says 21.062 CW. And then that Mike November 131, that's all the information that I need to send to get spotted. The $ means my call sign, because they know what number you're using. W7A Mike November 131 is the summit, and then the frequency, and then the mode. And so I just text that to a specific number, and the guys has a server that takes that and scrapes it and posts it to the reflector. Okay.
And that's GPS.
So I'm getting there. So that's the cell phone version. That's regular SMS, and that's what I use most of the time. Well, the GPS unit that I have, it's the GPS Map 66i. It has the ability to send texts. So you just take and do the same thing. You send a text from that GPS unit with the same format to the same phone number, and it does the same exact thing, except for instead of it going through SMS, it goes through the Iridium satellite, and eventually it's still SMS eventually. So that's how it's done. But in both cases, you have to ask this gentleman to set it up for you to accept those messages, or else it won't work for you.
Gotcha. So that must be what he's using too, then.
I'm pretty sure if he's for soda, that's the way it goes. Yeah.
Yeah. And I know you can try to do something on 2 meter, but
what, like the what is it called? APRS. You can do APRS the same way. Yep. And I've done that before too.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Well, you should do pretty good there, because you guys have a lot of 2 meter action in your area, same as we do. I know Tio has 0.
I've only had like maybe 10% or less of the peaks that I've been on ever, and right now that's probably 300 different ones.
Plasma, thank you very much.
I've only had that many of them that have had that I didn't have the ability to reach somebody via simplex radio or cell phone, and so it's very, most of the time it can you don't need the Iridium.
Yeah. So, well, actually, on a summit close to me, that I walked in the snow to, I actually called Jason from Ham Radio 2.0 and talked to him, trying to get my last 3 miles each way in the snow, and I want to make sure I got my 4 contacts. Hey, we had a question from Ham Radio Live, and I don't quite understand it. It says, "Red question: what's been the summit of that you have worked the most calls from, or for him?" I'm not sure.
What's been the summit of?
I don't quite understand.
What summit have you worked the most calls from? Let's start there.
The
summit that I've worked the most calls from would have been we could make the distinction between 100 watts versus 5 watts. The most I've done on is either going to be It's going to have to be Greens Peak and up by the Sholo area. I had roughly 200, 250 contacts on that one. 100
Wow.
watts, 100 watts. Okay, but I had almost 100, and it was just below 100 in down south in Chiricahua National Monument area, QRP. So
Nice.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then while we were talking about GPS, Skeeter wanted to know about some of the different GPS options that are out there. You mentioned Iridium, but what else is there for you?
Iridium is the service. Can I get to that in just a bit? I thought I wanted to mention one other thing real quick, and that is when it comes to spotting, when you go out in the field, you need to remember that in some cases you shouldn't spot yourself, and in other cases you may.
Really? Why would you not want to spot yourself?
If you're working on field day, I don't think that that is or if you're doing some other sort of contest.
Oh, if it's against the rules of the contest, yep. And
Then,
you're submitting a log on the contest.
Yes, then you definitely would not want to spot yourself. But if not, then there's nothing wrong with it. You just have to make sure you check the program rules if you're participating in some sort of a program like SOTA, POTA, Field Day, whatever it is, whatever portable event it is. Make sure you check, and you don't want to get bit by maybe self-spotting when you shouldn't. So to the GPS, there are, well, obviously Garmin has a good line, but I think most people only use two that I recall of the main Garmin GPSs. Is the one that I have, the big one, the GPS 66i, and then there's a smaller version of that which doesn't have the whole. Well, let me grab it here real quick. Let me just grab it because it's easier to explain.
Can we make this happen? Can we do this live?
Can we do this? It's right in my back.
I thought mine was sitting right here, but
Did you find it?
no, I didn't.
There it is. I got mine.
I got mine off of recommendation from you, I think. Looks just like it, but I might be different.
So in addition to having the Iridium information in here, it also has like the screen where you can track your tracks and you can do route finding. Okay, so
map your way back out.
Yes, but then there's those who use their phone in conjunction with the service, and I can't remember what it's called, but there's a GPS unit that's smaller. Maybe the guys in chat can tell me, but it's probably a third of this size, and you use it in conjunction with your cell phone. You do the route finding on your cell phone, and then the Garmin device is used to help with the GPS receiving and sending. So. In both cases, I think most people actually prefer this one because I like to have it all in one. But a lot of people.
Which one was that again?
This is the GPS 66i
from Garmin.
GPS Map 66i from Garmin, and the other one is also a Garmin, just a smaller version of this. And I should probably just look it up and see what it is if they haven't thrown it in the chat already.
Somebody said InReach Mini.
Yep, that's what it is. InReach Mini. Yep, and this is actually InReach as well.
Oh, is it? Oh, mine's not InReach. Mine's not that fancy.
So, in this one you can use two different services. You can use the Iridium, or you can use, what's the Russian one called? I can't remember. There's two different satellite services.
GOSAG. Is it the same thing for like drones? Probably is.
No.
No?
It might be, but I don't think so. But it uses two different services, and I usually just use the Iridium one. But so those
GLONASS.
Yes, GLONASS. That's the one.
Yeah, same
Plasma got it.
Yep.
That was close.
Coverage pretty much anywhere in the world on those.
Yep.
But I, for the longest time, didn't have this. And instead, I had just a regular GPS routing, just a regular GPS unit that you hold in your hand. And it has the routing, but it doesn't have the InReach built into it. And so what I did in that case, I just used that for routing, and then I had a PLB, personal location beacon, that you would just activate in the case of an emergency to notify the sheriff's office or whatever that you need help.
My problem with those is I don't use them enough to remember how to use it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
So you got to
I
do more
haven't used
soda,
it, and I haven't used it enough in the first place to know how to use it really well, and then I don't use it, and then I forget everything. Mine's not that fancy. It was kind of the one you were gonna send me one time, and it's basically like the one one of your old ones. I think
You're talking about the PLB?
just a regular GPS unit.
Oh
From,
yeah,
Garmin.
Yep.
It's a
It is.
Garmin.
Yeah, it was
But I
an,
don't
an
think
older Garmin. Uh-huh.
I don't know if it does. I don't think mine does the Iridium thing. I'll have to
Most
check
don't.
with you on that. Okay,
No,
it
most
probably
don't.
doesn't then. It
Yeah.
wasn't
See you
real
later, Don.
expensive. See you, Don.
So you guys are talking about GPS, and one of the things I want to make sure we bring up, this is actually a really good use case for the APRS position reporting. A lot of people go, oh, APRS, I don't like that because it tells everybody where I am. This is a case where you actually want people to know where you are in case you have any kind of trouble. You know, Charlie, you probably make, I mean, if I know that you're wonderful and you do a fantastic job. So I know that on your refrigerator, before you leave every morning, you've got your plan for the day. You've got ways to get in touch with you. You've got the mountain that you're going to, the directions on how to get there. You've got friends' numbers that can call if you don't come back in a certain amount of time. All of these kinds of things go into your preparedness plan to go out for your portable day. That's right.
Right.
That is right, actually. Yes. Well, most of the time, if my wife is around, I will give her the rundown of where I'm going to be. I'll give her all the details. But I do, every time I go out, I do leave a plan with somebody, whether it's verbal or written down. If my wife and I are both going, we always leave a plan on the countertop and call our kids and say, it's there if you need it. You know.
Mhm.
So
I saw your last video where you were up on the peak and you were walking with the camera in one hand and the trekking pole in the other, and I was getting a little vertigo.
Occasionally, you run into some fun stuff like that. Yeah.
Or snakes.
I just did the video coming up right after this live stream. I have a premiere right after this live stream, and I ran into a rattlesnake. I didn't get a chance to video it, but I got a picture of it. Yeah.
You guys have some good sized rattlesnakes there too, don't you? Ours get about 4 or 5 feet, but they're not huge. They're not like big around or anything.
Yeah, they're big.
Got to use mirrors to look for them in the holes.
I
don't do that either. I do too.
But as far as APRS, TO, that I have used, I used to do it all the time. On every activation I went on, I have a Kenwood D72A, I think it is, or something like that, that has built-in GPS tracking and or digipeding, and so I would put that up on the APRS FI and go on my summit and back down again. As it turns out, that's not enough digipeders, APRS digipeders in the areas that I go in a lot to make it all that accurate, but it's still a great option to have if you need it, especially if you're in the local areas and closer to town. It's great.
The problem I see with that is I've got the 3A from Yaesu. It does the same thing, but it's only 5 watts if you're putting out full power. And I was like, man, I should have bought like the 400 or something like that had it, so I could do it out of my vehicle, which would be 50 watts or something, because you just increase your range. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But I mean, if you were stuck someplace, carry that little Dr. Fong
J-pole.
roll up J-pole and get that in a tree. If you're stuck someplace, that might actually, maybe that'll get you that little extra, because we all know that antenna is the way to get out, not so much power all the time.
That antenna will get you way better for you. Yep.
Man, I put that thing up on I was up camping one time. I'm parked next to it, like 500-600 foot hill, right? And I'm talking to this guy 100 miles away with my handy talkie. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this thing works that good.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that's portable radio too, right? The handhelds. There's some people who don't do HF or any type of HF and do portable, and I enjoy it. I enjoy it too. There's KNOR and his wife Bob from Colorado. They became mountain goats, both of them, by doing completely 2 meter only.
Well, you can't. I mean, if you can do 2 meter, I mean, you can't go much lighter than that, No
kidding, right?
Or easier. Your antenna's right there. If you want a better antenna,
your battery's right there.
Your battery's right there, and
spare battery's only this big.
Yeah, I went on I did a soda over in one of the regional parks here, and I just wanted to see how good I could do with the roll-up J-pole and my handy talkie, and I made 5 contacts in 5 minutes.
Yeah, I believe it.
And it wasn't. I wouldn't say it was the greatest location for 2 meter in California either. I mean, it wasn't. I mean, but I got a guy in San Francisco. I got a guy in up in I wasn't too far from San Francisco, probably, because it's across the bay from him. And then I got a guy up north. It was like pretty good contacts though.
Yeah.
And I was at a site that wasn't really. It was like a radar site, so I was getting a little bit of problems with that too, but not bad.
Well, and we were talking about QRV, or not QRV, QRP versus QRO. I've actually, on drive ups and on POTA, I've taken a 15-foot pole with a 3-element Yagi at the top and a 75 watt radio, and I operated that way too. So QRO on 2 meters, and great contacts that way.
That little 5-element 2 meter, I did a video build on that thing. I put it on I can put that on a 12 meter spider beams pole.
Yeah.
Down a few, not at the very top of it, but probably get it up. I can probably get it up 20 feet. And that thing, some guy's like, "Yeah, you're only 40 over right now." And he's like 80 miles from me. I go, "Oh, let me turn it down to 5 watts." He goes, "Now you're only 20 over." It's amazing what you can do with 2 meter.
Yeah.
If you're up on top of a peak someplace.
And that's a big distinction too, because earlier we were talking about being on a summit to do HF and kind of how that works. But definitely when you're on a summit, height is might for 2 meters for the
line of sight. Yep.
Yep. For sure.
Exactly. And if you can go across some water, that probably even helps more.
Yep.
I mean, because even on flat ground, going across a lake or something, you can get some good distance with not much power, because there's nothing in your way.
Yep.
I've tried satellites. I listened one time, but that's something I'm going to try and figure out one of these days.
Chris K7TAB, a friend of mine, did satellites with me when I was on a summit, or when I was doing summits on the air. But I've never myself done it either. I've never had even one single contact on satellite anywhere, anytime. It's kind of like the FT8 thing, T.O.
One of these days.
One of these days, yeah.
So many things to do in this hobby. You're never going to run out of things that you could possibly do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and even just like the portable radio, there's so many different ways in which you can experiment. We're just talking about handhelds and 2 meters and stuff like that. I mean, sideband. I don't know how many people have tried doing 2 meter sideband, but it's a ball. It's great.
It is.
It's so much fun.
You can get some super distance on that thing.
Yes.
Well, I just did a video not too long ago where we did. Now you can't. Not everybody can do this, but you can. A lot of people can do it. C4 FM. It's a Yaesu thing on 2 meter, and I did 2 meter C4 FM. But what I'm going to do some experimenting with is some 10 meter, which you have to have a 991 to do it. That's the only radio that I know of that will do, other than 2 meter, or 70 centimeter. Pretty cool. So, it's got that total digital sound, And there's a guy here that's really Fred. He lives about 30 miles from me, and he does it every Sunday night, and then he's doing 220, but that's just regular 220 there. But I'm gonna hook up with him and see if we can do 10 meters some night, but we might be too close.
Hey, yeah. Gunter's in the house. Good morning, Gunter.
Hi, Gunter.
Gunter.
Another thing that's really fun for portable radio we haven't mentioned yet is the VHF contest. And I've participated in that. Well, I've been in. My friend Brian W7JET, he really likes to participate in that contest, and it's 1296 and 900 megahertz and 440 and 220 and 2 meter. It's like all the FM bands, and of course, this is a case in where you wouldn't spot yourself, but that's right. A really fun portable. If you go portable, you go up on a mountain and participate in an event like that. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that last time when I was testing that cubicle quad, I talked to some guy and he asked me, "Hey, do you do the contest?" Because he does roving.
Yeah.
And I go, that would be fun. Go out and do a rover. Find 2 or 3 places that you could get. Well, you have to be in different zip codes, right, or something like that.
Grid squares.
Grid squares. Grid squares.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Marvin's saying he wishes a manufacturer would make an SSB 2 meter mobile style radio. Marvin, you're looking for the ICOM 706 series, and I think the 703 also. Is that right?
857. I don't know about 703. That was a QRP one, wasn't it? It
Yeah.
isn't.
I didn't know if it was Shack in a Box QRP. Or
I
if it
think
was
he's
just-
I think he's talking about like a dual band radio though, like because nobody makes that where you can do.
Right.
Because people are like, well, why'd you buy that instead of not this? I go, because I like to do sideband, and nobody offers that. There's only a few,
Yeah.
the 705, the 991, 7100 if it's still available. I don't know. I heard they quit making it.
Besides, you just need to get a bigger car, and then any radio is a mobile radio.
Have you seen some of those rover stations though? Those rover
I
cars?
haven't. I need to check those guys out because
Yeah, one stop by here.
Oh yeah, you got
Yeah.
to see it.
Yeah, I mean, it was he had a Kenwood in there. I don't remember what model it was, but he had a big Yagi antenna that he'd put on the trailer hitch on the back. So he would stop in like a gas station parking lot, set the trailer hitch up, figure out what grid square he's in, make a contact, take it all down, drive to the next location, do the same thing.
so he didn't even bother looking for peaks or anything, huh?
No, he was just
Most-
in the contest.
Most don't do that. Most just rove and just listen to specific frequencies and try to collect as many call signs as possible
Yeah.
on as many bands as possible. And so a lot of those rovers will have like 5 or 6 different antennas on their vehicle. It's pretty wild looking sometimes.
So it'd be cool to talk to one of those guys to find out how they get some pointers. You know, I mean, I could go out and throw a Yagi up, or I think even a vertical would probably get you. I mean, you could probably just take out your truck and with your regular vertical, right, and do okay.
could. Yeah, I mean the thing that people look for in that VHF contest is multiple bands because there's a multiplier involved, and so
Okay.
if you go out with just 2 meters, they'll work you and they'll be glad to get the points, but there'll be a little bit of disappointment that you don't also have 220 and
Do you
440.
have 70? Do you have 220?
Exactly,
Right.
exactly. That's exactly what they'll ask you.
Yeah, I've actually run into that before when I've
SOPR.
contacted people that were contesting. And they'll ask, they go, "Oh, do you happen to have anything else?" I don't have any. I do have a 220 radio. I just realized it the other day. It's an old Kenwood, but it was given to me. But I tried to fix some stuff on it. I made it worse.
Yeah.
It was just falling apart. All the plastic was no good anymore, And every
Yeah.
time I touched something, it broke.
I have some old Bullfang radio that has 220 on it. It was a dual or a triple bander. I think it was a tri-bander
nice.
that has a 220, 440, and 2 meters.
You know that Dr. Fong antenna would probably be a really good antenna for that. The only problem with Yagis is you do shut people down, and certain,
Oh, yeah.
you don't hear everything. Now, if you're doing sideband, another good antenna is that Swallow or Qualo or the little loop antennas.
Oh,
Because
I've never even seen that.
They're for horizontal and like if you're doing sideband. But they're instead of they have pretty good gain, especially if you stack two of them. That's what that friend of mine uses a lot of times. But it's omnidirectional also, and when you stack them, they have pretty good gain. My buddy Gary there, he has one in his truck for 6 meter.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
because they're actually pretty good. There's no real wind resistance going down the freeway hardly.
Nice.
You haven't seen a Halo antenna? Halo.
Didn't
is
you
the
do a
other
video
thing.
on? You did a video on one.
Yeah.
I must.
Yeah,
I
I
need
made
to
it.
I'll go look for it on your channel, Chuck.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's a cool. I tell you the truth, I've really never used it. I keep forgetting to take it when I go places that I do sideband. I'm going to though. It's going to go to Big Hill one of these times and see how it does. Because I don't on Big Hill I don't really need. I mean the Yagi's nice, but I don't really need it because of the height.
right. Yeah.
Especially if I could throw it up on the fire tower, that would be even better.
When it comes to 2 meters, I used to always take the N7TXT roll up Slim Jim.
Yeah.
And so I had that for many years, and then I went over. I kind of transitioned to a handheld Yagi, a 3-element Yagi, and so those are probably my two. When I'm going kind of far away from Phoenix and still want to work the guys, that's usually what I'll use. And then other than that, sometimes I'll just, if it's close, I just use the rubber duck and I don't even bother with anything with gain.
Yeah, if you're up high, I mean, and that little Halo is for 2 meters, super small. It's like this big, like 6 inches by 6 inches, or 8 inches by 8 inches, something like that.
Yeah.
And it weighs nothing. It's just a piece of 1/4 inch, I think, rod that I bent.
You got me interested in the Ed Fong. I know about it, but I've never bought one or even tried using one. I need to get one of those.
I think you could make a Slim Jim out of one of those too. I'm gonna. It looks very similar to the Slim Jim. Is kind of like a vertical. It gets you a little bit lower trajectory, and takeoff. And I don't know. That would be kind of cool. I actually took my Slim Jim with me on my ATV trip and talked to some guys quite a ways away. I mean, they weren't like super far away, but I had mountains between me and them. They worked good.
Yeah.
Not as portable though.
I've seen some people even use those telescoping whips, man, and that could actually that could ruin your radio if you aren't careful. It can break it, the joint in it. But I've seen people, a full wave telescoping antenna on 2 meters of your radio.
Yeah. I did some experimenting the other day, and I've never seen this before, where a Yagi wouldn't get me a better signal, than just a regular, like a little, just a regular vertical antenna on the 705. I don't know if it's because I was shooting right into a hill trying to get to them or what. Probably didn't. If I was up on top, I think it would make a difference, but I have to experiment with that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gary's saying squallow is one of the other names for the halos.
Because it's square in shape instead of round in shape.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, mine's square, so mine's, I guess, technically a squallow.
Huh.
I'm going to take it out. I have to.
You do it, Chuck.
Yeah.
Do it. So you're coming this. Go ahead.
Yes, go ahead. Yeah, I've taken it with me and just totally forgot to throw it up. I get busy doing regular sideband stuff on 20 and stuff, and just by the time I get done, sometimes I just don't feel like doing it anymore.
Yeah, I get that. What band do you like to use mostly on your portable stuff, Chuck?
If I'm doing POTA, 20 works the best. Yeah. Soda's 20 is good. 40's good, better on Soda for me. For me, it's like I don't have that close in area for 40 as much for POTA.
Yeah.
It's say like when Mike was sitting in Missouri, or where was it? I mean, he's like in the middle of the U.S. or something almost, and I don't have that here. So 20 works better for me.
And UTO, what do you like?
I like 20. I've got a couple of vertical antennas that I can take with me, and of course we're working on this end-fed half wave. But 20 is my favorite band to go out, just because it's HF. You get a lot of good distance out of it, and it's compact.
Yeah. I've progressed into 20 being my go-to for POTA as well. And there's an observation I've made over that I've kind of come to a realization of over the last month or two, or several months, and that is when it comes to summits on the air, the philosophy for most activators is activate as many bands as you can, at least 20 and 40, but also 30 and maybe 17, because there are a lot of chasers, and you want to accommodate the chasers, and so you want to do that. So you spend as much time as you can. You work multiple bands, but when it comes to POTA, that is virtually impossible. So, because I went out and did a summit, and I just did 20 meters, and by the time I was done with 20 meters only, CW and sideband, it was already like an hour and a half in. If you spend an hour and a half on every band,
you'd have to go out there and get like, okay, I'm going to get 20 contacts, and then I'm going to change, or 15 contacts or something like that.
It's a completely different philosophy. You want to accommodate the chasers in summits on the air, and to a certain extent you still do in POTA, but in POTA it's just unrealistic. You just need to you need to pretty much just choose a band and work it, and maybe one other one if you're lucky.
I did the one where I went camping, and I think I did some 40 on that one. But it was later in the evening, so 20 wasn't as good as it could have been.
Yeah,
right.
And I actually worked into the night shift, I think, on that one, because somebody thanked me for doing the night shift, and I thought, oh, well, yeah, I forgot. What's weird is
one night shift.
K6ARK was my second contact on that. He goes, oh, I got you off the spot, off of what's the
The
one
RBN?
that lets you, the
Ham
one that
alert?
tells you
Ham
ham alert. I'm like, I go, I only made one contact so far, but he comes in, Kilo 6 Alpha Romeo Kilo, and I'm like,
Who's that?
oh,
Yeah.
Adam.
I
He
do
says
that.
K6ARK, and I did that same thing to Carlos one time when he jumped. When I finally just put my call sign out, KK6USY, he goes, "Oh, Chuck," but he couldn't get me otherwise. I always try to throw both in. When I do calls, I'll do a phonetic, and I'll just do it.
Carlos had a lot of things going through his mind when he was doing that
Well, he
jump.
did.
I mean,
He did.
he had altitude, he had parachute control, he had bugs going through his
Yeah.
head.
Literally,
So we got a
bugs.
couple of questions in the chat. Some of these are from a while back, but I wanted to make sure we address them. Don's Locks asked at the beginning of the show, is LifePo 4 better than lithium ion? And I think the answer is that LifePo 4 is a more mature technology and a safer technology.
Safer, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's not.
Yep.
I don't think it's quite as light, but I think the safety part of it outweighs the weight.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And then Mike K0MRD says, does it matter how many watts you use to activate? And he said to activate a park, but I think it doesn't matter for POTA or for SOTA. That, get the job done is really the answer.
Whatever you got. Yep. Yeah. Just
If you
The
want to
only
take an
thing that
amplifier
matters-
up on a mountain, do it.
stay
Yeah,
legal.
if you can yeah. Yeah, stay legal.
And then
Don't
Red's
use your
asking-
use your tailgate for a table because that's not legal in SOTA, guys.
And then I said that wrong. Marvin wants to know, he wants to go back up a bit. What was your solar panel voltage and why? And this was because you had some parallel panels on your roof. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 250 watt panels. Yeah.
Okay.
And the why did I choose that? It's just what I had. I'm going to add to them.
Are they
I think
still
he's
12
asking-
volts or did you make them 24 volts?
Oh, that. Yeah, they're 12. I am not doing 24 at this time. They're
Okay.
all 12. It's not the whole system's 12. It would be nice to do 24, but at this point, just 12.
I think sometimes the reasoning is sometimes voltage is better for. I think if you up the voltage is better for like when you don't have as much light, or sometimes you get more shaded or something. There's all kinds. Nobody really explains it. I bought Will Pross's book, and it's he walks around it, but he doesn't really explain. At least I didn't see it. Why it's better to do one over the other sometimes.
Well,
Or
24
I'm just not smart enough to figure it out. I don't know.
24
Maybe that's
volts
it.
you'd want to use if you wanted to have an amplifier for your radio, you'd want to do that, or if you have a an appliance that takes that draws more, or like those like a dryer, for example, or a washing machine, a dryer, for example, you'd want to do that because it's just otherwise it's just going to work. It's going to drain your battery too much and put too much it's going to put too much strain on the whole system. So you want to have widen the voltage on that. So
Right. And then this is a topic that's near and dear to Red's heart. How do we get Chuck to learn CW?
I told Don, I go, Chuck needs a new brain for that, I think. Or new memory, maybe just memory, just a little memory, click it
have
in,
you tried, Chuck? Have you tried before?
Oh, I got you one
Once
time,
or
but
twice.
it was pretty. I've got Tio a couple times.
Yeah, I remember getting you, but I mean, have you
I just don't do it enough to.
Yeah.
I got so many other things going on. If I wasn't
what it
doing,
is.
if I wasn't doing this and I wasn't doing videos and stuff like that, I might actually sit down and learn it.
it's all about
I'll get
interest.
it's just like the GPS. If I did it, like when I do it a couple days, I remember my own call sign. Now I can get all but like the last letter sometimes of my call sign without thinking about it. I have no problem sending. Usually, if I look at a list or something, but it's the receiving part that kills me.
Yeah.
But I know I can do it because I know what CQ means. I learned that because you hear that all the time. So it's
time.
It's that repetitive stuff that I need. And I when I watch your videos, I recognize certain things in your video. Sometimes I don't know what it is, but I recognize it. What the dits and das are. But yeah, one of these days, it would. I mean, there's guys like they love that little the A1 antenna that Elecraft makes, which
Oh, yeah.
to me is it's useless for me because I don't do CW, but I think for guys that do CW, I think it works great. And that's the guys that I see that do it. Like what's his name that you were talking about before? Thomas. Thomas uses it, but he does CW. I've used it. I don't have that one. I've got the MFJ version, which was considerably less. Not near as sexy as the Elecraft one, but I've got up into Vancouver and stuff like that. What's really weird is 20's not for me. 20 shouldn't be really good to like Oregon or Washington most of the time, but on some of my outings it has been, which is really weird for me.
Yeah.
Usually that's a little close.
Yep, the propagation is changing a little bit now. I used to not ever get to like California on 20, but now I'm starting to get it a lot more.
Yeah, I have to listen for you. I have to find out when you're out. I need to do the ham alert thing. I didn't use it enough, and they lapsed on me, so I got to re-sign up.
Usually Fridays I like to go out on Fridays, so that's probably the best time to catch me. But it varies.
Deal. Any more questions there, T.O.?
I don't have any more questions, but I did want to give a link to Red's premiere that's coming up after this. Red, you're taking the 6100 up on a summit and seeing if it overheats.
Yeah, remember, those of you who have watched some of my other videos, I took the 6100 up, X6100 up on a summit a week ago, and it got so hot I couldn't even touch it. I had to use like my shirt to put it in the bag, and it was really crazy. So I'm like, this is an overheating problem. But then I'm like, you know what? Maybe I ought to isolate a few things before I make that assertion. So the video coming up, I isolate this. I'm not in the sun, direct sunlight. I'm in the shade. I keep it protected from any type of external heat, and I'm in it, and you'll see what happens.
I do notice, like especially my A57, when it's sitting in the sun, gets really hot, and all you got to do is shade it, and it's not a problem. I wanted to ask you though. You have 400 amp hours. Are you using AGMs or lithiums?
AGMs.
Okay.
It's I got them for $5 each. So.
Nice.
Oh wow.
Can't beat that.
Yeah.
I would have bought even more for $5 a piece. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Have you tested them out? Like actually gone off the grid and made sure they did the thing for the amount of time they're supposed to?
Not yet. I just barely got everything set up. I'm gonna probably do that this coming week. Yeah.
That'll be fun.
You just got them? You just got them?
I just the system. We just barely got set it up. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So are these used or just?
Yeah, they're from a data center. Oh
wow.
Yeah, I was telling some other people about how we had this connection. So they're supposed to last 15 years. In the data centers will keep them 7, and then they get rid of them. And so we had a connection where they just gave them to us, and it was just $5 to pay for the cost of gas to get them.
Mm-hmm. Wow. That's excellent.
I wouldn't mind having a deal like that. That's for sure.
No, not at all.
Yeah. So
I'd like to upgrade my trailer batteries.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, folks. We're going to give you all a little bit of time to use the facilities between ending this show and beginning Charlie's premiere right after this. I want to thank everybody for showing up today. Thanks for all the support that we've gotten. Can't do this without you all. Awesome. Charlie, you've been a fantastic guest. Chuck, do you think we should invite him back?
Sure, I think so.
Okay.
I loved hanging out with Charlie, man.
Yeah.
You guys stole the show today.
Sorry. Hey, and tomorrow we're going to do a video a stream on with Jim. Jim is going to join me tomorrow. We'll see how that goes. And we're going to do basically first in the ham radio, first radios, first antennas, blah, 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 blah. So Join us.
Excellent. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks, everybody.